We have today Dr. Ulises Moya. We are very pleased to having you today in this forum, Dr. Moya.
Hello, everyone. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for the invitation.
Dr. Moya has such a unique background. So he's the pioneer in the fusion of science in artificial intelligence and public administration. And he is the first director of this area in the public administration in Mexico. Dr. Moya holds a PhD in electrical engineering from CINVESTAV in Mexico, and a master's degree in medical physics from UNAM, and a Bachelor degree of Science in physics from the University of Guadalajara. He recently collaborated at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center in the High Performance Artificial Intelligence Group. And in 2019, he was recognized with the Fulbright award. Dr. Moya is the Director of Artificial Intelligence of the General Coordination of Innovation in the State of Jalisco in Mexico. And lastly, but not least, he's a founding partner of Nética, which is a company that seeks scientific dissemination for the training of young talents in STEM. And in 2019, he was recognized with the Fulbright award to collaborate with the Quantitative Bioimaging Laboratory at the University of Texas in Dallas, and in the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. So I think you have a great and very interesting background, and I would love you to share with the community more about your profession development and more about what you do.
Yes, sure. Thank you for the kind introduction. Yes, as you say, I'm a physicist. I studied from my bachelor degree to my PhD in Mexico. And between these, I made some research stay, one in La Rochelle, for instance, in France, in a kind of a mathematic laboratory, yes, mathematics labs in this university, which is relatively new. And we moved to the deep learning when I did my postdoc. So I am physicist. I like the problems. I like the maths, these kind of things, and we try to apply this my knowledge in those areas to the artificial intelligence. Now in the government, we try to apply this in order to do some models. The technical work will be government to government solutions, and sometimes government to citizen solutions. And we use this knowledge of these tools and the scientific way to think in order to make this model more reliable and responsible. Yes, and this is one of the things that I do. We work on a team. I didn't do all alone. We have a team here. We work usually with public data, and we try to use this public data in order to help, for instance, some other partners in the government in order to take one decision. For instance, with cameras, we try to know what is the traffic flow in some areas. These kind of things that is my usually they work here in the government. And of course, I have scientific background that I believe that they appreciate this background because some of the long-term projects or the most difficult problems usually came to the office, to the Coordinación General de Innovación.
Great. So I want to highlight how unique background you have. You started working in deep learning and big data, and you have this background in research, and then you come to work in the public administration, and so that is very unique. So how did you get there?
Yes,
Yes.
sure. Actually, maybe some of you maybe know that the neural networks are the base of the deep learning, yes? But before 2010, it was not very popular because other technique was more efficient, like support vector machines. But in my group, we use the neural networks, even when it didn't be so popular. Why? Because we like this inspired thing in the artificial neural networks. And we use this with some mathematical tools called in Clifford algebra, some kind of generalization of the complex numbers. These numbers are usually found in signal processing and other tools. And we use this technique, these mathematical tools in order to transform these neural networks. So after that, I finished my PhD. I start this company. And then I was, I don't know how to say, boring, or I want to make more research. And then I applied for this postdoc position in Barcelona. And then this is a very important place for this path, because we have the tool for do deep learning. Deep learning needs a lot of data, but needs a lot of computation power. So we have a very big machine. The name of this machine is called Mare Nostrum, and we use this machine a lot. We spend a lot of time doing some coding, some script, and some of my students went to Barcelona. So we have we made some collaboration with Mexican students, of course, with students from there, researchers from there, and we enjoy and work together. My supervisor there was Ulises which is actually a Mexican researcher there, who is the leader of the high performance artificial intelligence group. So this is the main, maybe the most important part of my deep learning career, because I could make a lot of experimentation with a lot of data in a very short period of time. I spent 2 years there, but because of we use a supercomputer, we can use like maybe 16 GPUs at the same time, which is very expensive to do this in the cloud system. So we work a lot, because we have the right tools to do deep learning. A lot of data and a lot of computational power. After that, I decided to come back to Mexico, and I hear from a friend that this position was open, and I hear another offers from as a visitor professor in CINVESTAV, Ciudad de México, another one from the Tec de Monterrey as a professor. But I prefer to move to this challenging job, which is actually I enjoy a lot because I have computational power. We have a lot of data. We have interesting problems, and maybe the most motivating thing is that we can apply this usually for society, or at least we believe in that. We believe that we made these models in order to make a difference in this country, in the state, in Jalisco. So that is the main idea of the path that I follow. I was in Spain when I heard about this position. So I made this interview by Zoom, something like that. And at the same time, I applied for this fellowship, Fulbright Garcia Robles. So I won the Fulbright, and I won this position.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing this experience. I can see. So nowadays, there is this revolution of multidisciplinary fields, putting them together to solve specific problems that individual fields cannot solve. So you are putting together that different fields to solve, to tackle specific problematics that were not previously actually observed, right? And the other thing that I see that is very important, that you had this opportunity to be working in the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, where you got all of this knowledge, but you didn't stop there. You promoted to other people, to other students, to come and learn there, and now you are promoting in Mexico to more people to learn, and so that is something that I want to recognize from you, that you are getting involved more people, and you are growing this culture of multidisciplinary approach to solve specific problems. So do you think there are needed in Mexico more supercomputer centers that could promote this, and how can that impact in the development of the country?
Yes, for sure. I mean, there's two sides of this. One side is yes, we need. If you want to be competitive, you need to compute, and if you compute a lot, usually you can be more competitive. So this is a kind of relationship between this, and of course, the developed countries have huge supercomputers. In Mexico, we have around 6 supercomputers. But these supercomputers are, if I am not forget something, there is not in the top 500 supercomputers. So this is a good machine. It's useful. But is not in this list because the performance is not too high. In addition to that, this kind of supercomputers is a kind of all-purposes supercomputers. So usually some guys from I don't know to research about biology or climate change, something like that, use the same infrastructure. But in this case, for deep learning, we use a special one called GPU. It's a kind of graphic processor unit. And these tools are not usual in this supercomputer center right now in Mexico. maybe the next generation of supercomputer could be take account this in order to make the new artificial intelligence or the deep learning. This is a huge difference. For instance, if you train something in a CPU, could take 20 times more time. So this is a very huge thing. And in addition, there is a kind of new deep learning model, which is very, very huge. They call sometimes fundamental models. And these models is very difficult to run these models, and maybe is more difficult to train these models because you need a lot of data. I mean, the kind of the size of the Wikipedia, for instance, and you need a lot of computational resources to train this. For instance, if you try to train these GPT-3 models in a cloud, maybe you could spend like hundreds of years using one GPU.
Wow.
And then we spend like more than $1 million training these kind of models. So this is a very difficult thing to handle because it is you need this hardware to do things, and it's expensive to get this hardware. So yes, we need more supercomputers. The other side of these things is that these supercomputers needs to be I don't know, get energy of that, and usually this energy is generated by I mean they had a carbon print, yes. So we need to take this account because we need to use this for real and interesting problems, and take account that this kind of technology could generate this kind of footprint and take some I don't know solution to reduce the impact of this technology in Mexico. So yes, we have 5. This is supercomputers. There are 3 in Mexico City. They call the Delta, and 1 here in Guadalajara, which was the top 1 in Mexico, Leo Atrox. And before that was another in State of Mexico called Abacus. And we have 2 or maybe 3 national laboratories of supercomputer, one in San Luis and the other one in Puebla, in the Benemérita Universidad de Puebla, in UAP. So this is the main idea of the supercomputers in Mexico. We have these supercomputers are useful for other kind of problems, but not very useful for artificial intelligence, the new kind of artificial intelligence.
I see. So certainly is needed some other technology, or there is and also all the application that it has, right? Because nowadays everything is data, right? For the in biomedics, in physics, in the clinic, and in the population, everything is numbers. So what you are doing is great, because then you can train models that you can predict, and you can predict events, or you can predict, I forgot the word.
Actually, we classify some, for instance, images, medical images, and for instance, if they have some disease or not, or with some certainly we can say, okay, this is the probability to have this disease or maybe detect, because it's different to make a diagnostic, and we can make clusters. These kind of operations we can do in this kind of machine, as you said.
Yes, great. Yeah, I remember the word is like social phenomena, that you can predict social phenomena by having a model or sets with certain parameters, right?
Yes,
Yes.
In this way, we try to make this the usual model for COVID, you know, this with different differential equations, these kind of things, but our model was not so good because it's very difficult to predict this social phenomenon. Because of, I mean, these equations are thinking about, are based on some assumption that don't happen in the reality, yes. But they're helpful in order to understand the phenomenon. But when you try to make a real prediction, it makes this very difficult. In other cases, we don't think that create a model with some equation. We left that the data create the models. That is the main idea of the deep learning. If you show the data and the labels of this data, the model create, I mean, learn some weights, some parameters, and then use these weights for an inference and get the results. And in this case, the model could be strange or doing something unexpected. That is the technology of the deep learning, could have unexpected results. And we have to be clear about the limitation of these models.
I see. Well, it's just awesome. And I could start asking you too many questions because it's just a lot of applications. But I, going to the context of this site, I would like to ask you if you can share with us what diversity and inclusion means for you.
Okay, so first, I believe that diversity is related with different kind of people, the way that they thinking, how look, maybe, how the gender and these ideas. So we need to have a variation of the people that you work or study or make. If you make an organization, you have to have these kind of people, different people. This is very important in order to create a health environment and maybe an innovation environment. Because if you put together the same kind of people, okay, this is the most normal thing, that the similar people make a cluster. But this kind of environment promote the no innovation, because they always thinking in the same way. So different backgrounds help to these innovation problems. So about the inclusion, it is sometimes they believe that this is a kind of checkbox. Okay, I have some people, some a woman, black or Latin. Okay, this is a checkbox. Okay, I have, and this is more than this, the checkbox. we need, this is how you integrate these persons in the process, in the work, in the environment that you promote or you want to do. So the main goal is create a diversity to get something, to get this innovation environment. And but this is not an easy task, because the people, if the people thinks different, they want to they need to hear the other part of the other persons. They need to hear what they want to express, and collaborate each other. So the inclusion is a kind of mechanism to do this in a correct way, I believe. So maybe the most difficult part that I manage in my job is working with people. This because we have very different backgrounds, very different interests, and we need to first make a clear objective, and then try to say, okay, if we work together, and you put something, I can put something, and go further. Yes. But as a physicist, this social part usually is difficult, because we usually move in the academic environment, in the more research environment, and we usually forget to cultivate these skills, these soft skills. And for me, is maybe the most difficult, in order to convince the people to go for a certain direction. Yes, for some problem, and these kind of things. We need to hear that they want to say, and express myself in a correct way, in order to don't create conflicts in the group and the team. So this is the main idea of these two concepts.
Diversity and inclusion. Thank you very much. And well, you have traveled in several places. You went to France, to Barcelona, US. Can you share with us any experience that have challenged you, specifically your professional development, and how did you overcome that?
Yes. First, we need to understand that in some places work different, and this is very helpful to understand. For instance, in France was more related with, okay, you need to think, write some equation, and then make some code. In the case of Barcelona, the environment was a little different, because you need to code a lot in order to take advantage of this machine. And maybe when you make a training, then you can think, analyze the results, something like that. That is the main idea of these two places. And the US is very different than Mexico, France, and Spain, because it's more competitive. And you have to work a lot every day, and it's different, the agenda of the day. You work, you eat in a different time, you need to work hard, no distractions. And usually in the other places, you usually have a distraction about this coffee break, these kind of things. I mean, it's not bad. We are humans, not machines. But this is the main difference of that. We have to make some, we need to handle these adaptations. And usually the main problem to make this adaptation is the language for sure. And usually these people is very different from Mexico. Usually in Mexico, you can share with a lot of people, you can say hi and you have a new friend, but there is not usual that the people um, be too much friendly. I mean, they don't hate you usually, but they don't be so friendly. So this is maybe the more challenging part. And when you be there for work, for study, usually you forgot the life balance. So this is another problem because you need to clean your mind in order to work better, to be in peace or something like that. So this is another problem, that you are really focused to work and forget to do exercise, read something different that you feel, and because you want to move to speed up your research. So this is maybe the two main problems that I remember.
Yes, the cultural shock and how to keep a balance. So, and then what could you tell to the scientific community regarding minority? And how can you motivate a new generation to pursue a professional career? I think by sharing your history, you are for sure inspiring too many people what you have done and where you are and what are you doing right now for Mexico with all your background. So what you can share with us.
Yes, for sure. First, I believe that for these researchers, I could say that we need to work together, help each other. This is important. For instance, my supervisor in Barcelona lives there for maybe 30 years, but they helped a lot people from Mexico. They opened the lab for them. So this is important to help each other. The other thing is related with the two sides of this. You have to motivate or maybe spend some time with the young talent, with the people which is actually interested in this. I spend a lot of time doing this because of this company that I used to work. And we work in, for instance, for robotic competition. This motivates a lot in order to go further, go beyond of the standards. And maybe work hard is important for both, for these researchers. And this work is important because it's not easy to be in this science and maybe a STEAM career if you don't work hard. I mean, it's very competitive area, so you have to do it. And maybe for these new people which are interested to do something, it's very common that you get some drawbacks and problems. So it's normal. We need to understand that sometimes fails, you don't get the grant for the first time. These kind of things is usually, for instance, I applied for this Marie Curie fellowship, and I don't have this in the first year, and then apply for this other fellowship, Fulbright, and I got it. So it's important to understand that the path is different for different people, and we need to understand that sometimes the things don't be in the right way.
Great. Thank you very much. So I want to tell you thank you very much for this, for sharing with us your experience. And I hope, and I'm sure this is going to help to many new generations that are listening to your experience. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you and gracias. Hope to see you again.
Gracias.
See you.